What the hell just happened in this war? A single Ukrainian MiG-29 flew straight into one of Russia's most heavily defended zones, dodged all their radars, and blew to pieces the bridge that was keeping the Russian army alive in the south. Subscribe if you think Ukraine did the right thing by destroying that key supply route, or comment if you believe it was a brutal provocation that could spark a much bigger war. In just 23 minutes, Ukraine didn't just bring down a concrete structure. It struck directly at Moscow's military pride. Masterstroke or reckless madness? Stay until the end, because what you're about to see is going to ignite controversy around the world. On September 10, 2025, a single Ukrainian MiG-29 was given a mission that could paralyze Russian logistics in the south. The aircraft was armed with 2 JDAM-ER glide bombs, each weighing over 450 kilograms, giving it a total payload of more than 900 kilograms. This was not a random strike. The target was a reinforced concrete arch bridge crossing the Kerachchaw River, a structure Russia had strengthened 3 months earlier. The bridge was far more than just infrastructure. It was the main artery linking Russia's supply network to its forces in Zaporizhzhia, Melitopol, and Crimea. It was estimated that around 1,200 tons of fuel and ammunition crossed this route daily, feeding armored vehicles, artillery units, and frontline infantry. Without that connection, Russian mechanized units in the region would be forced to slow down operations or halt altogether. That made it a critical choke point which, if destroyed, could disrupt the entire southern supply chain. Ukraine's high command saw the chance to apply what military planners call a cut-and-choke strategy. Instead of striking enemy troops directly, the idea was to cut the lifeline sustaining them. By eliminating the bridge, Ukraine could trigger a domino effect on the battlefield, forcing Russia to reroute supplies through slower, less secure roads. That would weaken Russian forces in key sectors, stretch their logistics, and reduce their ability to reinforce other hotspots. Choosing the MiG-29 for this mission was both bold and practical. Although the jet has decades of service, it remains reliable, fast, and capable of carrying modern precision weapons like the JDAM-ER. The choice sent a clear message. Ukraine didn't need a fleet of fifth-generation fighters to deliver a decisive blow. It only required the right combination of timing, planning, and weaponry. But the risks were massive. The bridge sat inside one of the most heavily defended zones in southern Ukraine, layered with Russian air defenses including Tor M2, Pantsir S1, and Buk M2 systems. Any miscalculation could mean the loss of the jet and its pilot, along with the mission's failure. Every step, from target selection to weapons integration, had to be executed with absolute precision. The mission's goal was simple: strike once, strike effectively, and ensure the bridge was left irreparable. The cost of failure wasn't just a plane and a pilot, but the loss of a rare chance to hit Russia exactly where it hurt: its ability to move and fight. But even the best plan meant nothing unless Ukraine found a way to break through Russia's invisible shield of layered air defenses. For the mission to succeed, Ukraine needed more than a skilled pilot and precision bombs. It needed a flaw in Russia's system. That opening came thanks to electronic intelligence teams monitoring the TOR M2 for weeks. Through careful radar analysis, they discovered a rare and dangerous weakness. Every time the TOR M2 realigned its antenna to track a moving target, there was a brief 5-second gap before it could lock again. On a battlefield, 5 seconds can mean life or death. For a glide bomb traveling at high speed, it was just enough time to slip into the radar's kill zone before being fully tracked. Ukrainian planners immediately saw the value. If the JDAM-ER was dropped during that brief realignment window, it would already be gliding too far ahead for the TOR M2 to catch. This wasn't luck, but the product of coordinated reconnaissance using ground sensors, drones, and listening stations. Every radar has a rhythm, and Ukraine's team had mapped the TOR's operating cycle down to the second. By studying past engagements and running simulations, they knew precisely when the antenna paused and for how long. That moment didn't just dictate when to release the bomb, it shaped the entire flight plan. The challenge was synchronizing human action with machine cycles. The MiG-29 pilot had to approach from a concealed position with perfect timing and start the release sequence without hesitation. Any delay meant the bombs could drift into the radar's detection window at the wrong time, giving the TOR a chance to fire. Precision here meant aligning speed, altitude, and attack angle with a fleeting vulnerability. This demanded absolute trust in intelligence data and flawless execution from the pilot. The mission shifted from a simple strike to a calculated exploitation of the enemy's weakness. Instead of trying to overpower Russian defenses, Ukraine aimed to outsmart them. It was a reminder that in modern war, knowing the enemy's habits can be as powerful as advanced weapons. To maximize this opportunity, ground crews ensured the MiG-29 and its weapons functioned in perfect harmony. This wasn't just a matter of bolting 2 bombs onto a plane. Each JDAM-ER had to be carefully mounted, tested, and programmed for immediate response upon release. Technicians installed the glide kits, securing their carbon fiber folding wings, key to extending the bomb's range to 25 to 30 kilometers, letting the jet fire from outside most Russian short-range defenses. Next, target coordinates were uploaded directly into each bomb's onboard computer. This eliminated the need for in-flight target updates, which Russia could jam or intercept. Pre-programming meant the JDAM-ERs guided themselves with GPS and inertial navigation, reducing the margin of error to just 14 centimeters. Against a bridge, that kind of accuracy meant striking its structural weak points. Every step was double-checked. One crew member confirmed coordinates, another inspected fuses, a third tested wing deployment. The goal: when the release button was pressed, the bombs had to perform flawlessly. No delays, no malfunctions, because there would be no second chance. Timing had to align perfectly with the Russian radar cycle. Even the MiG-29's own systems had to match the bombs for speed and angle. Engineers ran simulations to calculate the ideal climb angle, bomb glide path, and time to target before the TOR-M2 could react. Small adjustments, wing sweep, fuel load, could change the outcome. By the time the MiG-29 rolled down the runway, every bolt was tightened, every circuit tested, every calculation verified. Flying low, sometimes just meters above treetops or water, the pilot minimized the jet's radar profile, blending into terrain. From there, he swung north and approached the target from the west-southwest, 22 kilometers out. That position was deliberate, beyond TOR-M2 and Pantsir's 1 reach, but within JDAM-ER glide range. Low flight also had a psychological effect. A target skimming a river could be mistaken for a cruise missile, triggering a slower response protocol. If Russian crews assumed it was a missile and not a manned aircraft, their reaction might lag, giving the MiG those precious extra seconds. At 22 kilometers out, the MiG climbed to 700 meters, just enough altitude to give the JDAM-ER's glide without leaving the jet exposed too long. At a 40-degree nose-up angle, the bombs were released. Left first, right half a second later, so their flight paths wouldn't interfere. Their carbon fiber wings snapped open instantly, catching the air. Guided by GPS and inertial systems, each bomb stayed on course while the MiG broke away, diving back to low altitude to evade fire. The strikes were violent and precise. The first bomb smashed into the main load-bearing beam, piercing reinforced concrete before exploding inside. The second hit seconds later, striking the opposite compression zone. Together, they triggered catastrophic structural failure. The bridge's central span split into a V before collapsing into the river. A Ukrainian recon drone recorded everything. Fuel trucks and supply vehicles stranded at both ends, drivers forced to abandon their crossing. The destruction wasn't just physical, it sent a clear message. No route was untouchable. The entire attack, from climb to release to escape, lasted less than a minute. Months of planning executed in seconds. The strike hit its tactical objective and showcased the deadly effectiveness of pairing an old jet with smart modern munitions. The Kerachchaw River Bridge's destruction immediately plunged Russia's southern supply lines into chaos. Without that crossing, fuel shipments for BTR-82A armored vehicles and infantry units stalled. Every day the bridge stayed down meant fewer tanks, trucks, and artillery batteries active in Zaporizhzhia and Melitopol. Satellite images within 48 hours showed convoys jammed on both sides. Tanker trucks lined up, unable to cross, while troops waited for supplies that never came. By day 3, Russian commanders had to reroute logistics through secondary roads. Longer, less safe, vulnerable to Ukrainian artillery and drones. This slowed operations and gave Ukraine new chances to ambush convoys. Ukrainian 47th and 65th mechanized brigades immediately exploited the gap, pressing attacks with precision artillery and drones, forcing Russian positions back. Russian armored units, starved of fuel, were pinned into static defenses. Ukraine concentrated fire on fixed targets, degrading them further. Medical evacuations and troop rotations also suffered. Wounded soldiers now faced longer, riskier routes to rear hospitals, lowering morale. Reports surfaced of frontline troops rationing ammo and fuel, while repair crews lacked spare parts. The strike's timing magnified its effect. Launched during a Russian push on the southern front, it halted progress cold and created a logistical bottleneck lasting over 10 days. Analysts noted even temporary disruptions like this could echo for weeks, as units struggled to restore supply rhythm. While the operation's success was clear, it set the stage for the next phase. Russia now had to decide: commit more resources to protect supply routes or risk exposing defenses elsewhere. The bigger question was how its air defense network failed so completely, allowing 2 glide bombs to slip through and land such a decisive blow. The truth? Russian air defenses couldn't intercept because the JDAM-ERs were released beyond most system ranges. The Tor M2 only reaches 15 kilometers effectively. Even the Pantsir S-1 maxes out around 20 kilometers. Ukraine proved that even an aging MiG-29, paired with a relatively cheap precision weapon like the JDAM-ER, can achieve results rivaling far costlier systems. This wasn't just about destroying a bridge. It was proof that high-impact results don't always need stealth jets or billion-dollar missiles. For Russia, the loss was more than logistics. The real damage was strategic, exposing vulnerabilities in its defense posture. Instead of focusing defenses on a few key points, Moscow now faced pressure to spread thin across dozens of similar targets: bridges, rail hubs, supply depots, all within reach of the same long-range glide bombs. This mission proved that even advanced defenses can be bypassed, and that smart tactics with the right weapons can change the course of war.